This is Notes in the Margin, a podcast for people who are super excited about writing their non-fiction book, but perhaps, just perhaps, aren't quite doing it. If you always feel called to tile the bathroom or clean the toilet instead of writing your book, you are in the right place. Your host, Vicky Quinn Fraser, has been there, done that, and has literally written a book about it. Join Vicky and her husband Joe as they make notes in the margin about creativity, writing techniques, publishing, and general shenanigans, and get tips and tricks to help you write your book. Hello, podcast fans, and welcome to Notes in the Margin, hosted by me, Vicky Quinn Fraser, and my trusty sidekick, Joe, who is making faces at me.
Trusty sidekick?
We do this every week, Joe. You are my sidekick in this capacity.
I'm not sure I want to be a psychic. Anyway.
A psychic? Are you a psychic?
A psychic. Hello.
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 I also feel that I should point out that Joe called me a millipede the other day, which is pretty mean.
So Vicky knows this because she has a book of transgressions that she keeps. And this is where she writes down everything that I do wrong.
No. It's all of the mean things you say to me.
All of the mean things I say.
It's like being in bed with a sack of weasels was one particularly memorable one. And that I am like a millipede. And and then I was like, I am the perfect wife, and you were like, no, if you were the perfect wife, you would come to bed pre-warmed, like one of those brass things with coals in.
I don't think that's a transgression.
It was rude.
Well.
So, yes, anyway.
Anyway, it was nice to have a quick browse through the Book of Transgressions yesterday evening. Nice to know that you're keeping a firm grip on the record.
It's just that you say really funny things and it just cracks me up. And so ever since you first said that I looked like a chimney sweep and I should Dick Van Dyke it up a bit, I've been keeping a note of what you say because it's just really funny. And if I don't write them down, I'll forget them.
Well.
And I know they're said with love. They are said with love, right?
I mean, mostly.
Oh.
But if you did want to pre-warm yourself before getting your fishy feet into bed, that'd be great.
Rude. So, listeners, why don't you write in and tell me the ways in which your partners are hilariously mean to you, and like I am being very specific about like stuff that you find funny, not stuff that actually makes you cry, because that's really sad. And if your partner is regularly making you cry, you should probably find a new partner. I'm not a therapist.
Okay.
But yes, I have a friend whose husband also says really hilarious stuff to her, and we often compare notes about what our hilarious husbands have said that's particularly mean.
Anyway, this is a rambly way of starting. We're like way off piste. What's going on?
No, it's fine. Okay, so what are you reading at the moment, Joe?
I'm reading the disappointingly titled "The Man Who Died Twice" by Richard Osman, which is the second book in the Thursday Murder Club series.
Yeah, I read it before Joe, and I really enjoyed it. Why do you think it's disappointingly titled? I mean, I don't think it's the best.
Well,
title
because somebody significant has just been allegedly killed. Or has he? You know? It's like...
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know. Okay, so when you finish the book, you'll understand why it's got that title. Yeah, you'll understand why it's got that title. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
It's sad. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
And the fiction that I am reading is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which you read before me.
Which I read before you, yes.
I'm really enjoying it.
Are you? Because I enjoyed it, but the bookshop owner was like, you must read this, and practically like thrust us at us.
She was weird though, right? This bookshop owner, we're in Canada at the time. That's not why she's weird, I hasten to add. But we were in Canada, and she was like, oh, you're from Britain. And she's like, oh, I'm very sorry about your queen. And we were like, thanks, I guess. Because, you know, it's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend, you know, I'm not going to performatively grieve. I get that some people are sad. I'm not really one of them, so that's fine. Anyway, but she was, and then just out of nowhere, she said, what do you think of Meghan Markle? And I'm like, there's really only one reason that somebody can ask that question, and that's if they're a racist shitbag. So, and I was just like, I think she's great. I think she's fantastic. I think our monarchy is a bag of crap, and I think our media is absolute trash, and she's been treated horribly. Why? I just didn't, and she was just like, oh well. So yeah, I shut that shit down pretty quick. But it was just really weird, wasn't it? It was like, why would you ask? What do you think of? What are you hoping?
What conversation are you starting with that?
Yeah, like, cause I can't really think of any. So, and I wasn't really in the mood for talking to strangers either. Just wanted to buy my book and get out.
Yeah. So you bought the book. We all bought the book.
Yeah. Anyway, and the book's really good.
Yeah.
It's a retelling of the tale of Achilles, basically, from Greek mythology.
Which has been told a million times before.
Mostly by men. But this time it's by Madeline Miller, and mostly from a very heteronormative perspective as well. The story has been told. And this story is really great. It's just a love story, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And I love it. It's really lovely. So I'm looking forward to finishing. I'm not looking forward to finishing it. That makes it sound like I'm not enjoying it. I am enjoying it. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends. And I feel like it's just going to be tragedy, because Greek tragedy.
I mean, you know how it ends, right?
I do know how it ends, yeah. And then I'm going to be reading after that a book about a retelling of Medusa, but from a female point of view, because again, she's always portrayed as this evil monster, and this is a retelling of it. Because actually, in the original myths, before modern Western white dudes got hold of it, the stories were different. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Yeah. And my non-fiction, I'm still reading Selfie by Will Storr, which is absolutely fascinating. I will talk a bit more about that, but it's really about where our sense of self comes from, and when the West became so self-obsessed and, selfie culture. But it's much, much more than that. It's about mental health and identity and cultural identity, and it's really, really interesting. Okay. Like, super interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. And as I said, we've been to Canada.
Yeah, we have.
And it was awesome.
It was really lovely.
Yeah, we went to our friends Misty and Berto's wedding.
Hi, Misty. Hi, Berto.
Hi, Berto. And it was a beautiful wedding and really lovely. And we also got to spend time with Lisa and Dave. Hi, Lisa. And that was
Hi, Dave.
And that was really fun. I don't think Dave listens to this podcast.
Does he not?
I don't think so.
He should do.
Well.
Have a word, Lisa.
But yeah, it was amazing, wasn't it? It was really beautiful.
Was.
And
cool.
Yeah, we stayed in a little town about an hour outside Toronto on a lake.
Which was beautiful.
It was beautiful. We had this gorgeous Airbnb right on the lake, like literally 30 yards from our window.
Like, look out the bedroom window, there's the lake.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's a heron. And we saw 2 skunks.
Yeah.
And we saw several trash pandas. And they're bigger than I thought. We saw no bears. We saw no bears, which I was both relieved about and sad about, because I went for a run the first morning. I went
for a run in the wilderness.
I went for a run in the wilderness on my own. No, I didn't go looking for bears. I just went on my own, and then I got about 10 minutes into my run, and I was like, I haven't got my phone on me. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Well, I wasn't really. It's like a very small island. And then I was like, what if there's a bear? And I was like, can bears climb trees? I was like, I'm pretty sure bears can climb trees.
So, well, you need to know which bear you've got in front of you as to whether to climb a tree or not.
Which I only found out afterwards.
I think black bears climb trees, brown bears don't.
Yeah, well, either way, I would really like to see a bear, but not when I'm on my own out for a run without my phone. So I could take a selfie of it before I died.
Yeah.
So that people know, like when I've been eaten and I disappear without trace, it's like I could take a picture and be like, this is how it happened.
Unless the bear eats your phone.
I don't think the bear would eat a phone. I think it'd take selfies.
Maybe in the process of eating you would have to eat your phone.
I would not be able to eat my phone.
Whilst the bear was eating you.
Why would I do that?
So that when the bear pooped, there'd be a phone record of you being eaten by a bear.
Right. Okay. Anyway, Toronto was amazing.
Was?
We went to Niagara Falls.
We did.
Oh, that was
a thing.
Yeah, it's because you drive up to it, and I was like, I'm not going to look at it before we actually get there because I don't want to, And then, but you can see the spray rising.
Yeah.
From about half a mile away, and it's just epic. And I just spent so long just staring at it and fighting my intrusive thoughts that were like, go on, jump in, see if you could survive it, jump in. Which I'm very glad I didn't, because literally 2 people have survived it. And yeah, it was quite a thing, wasn't it? And we walked behind it. And we walked down below, and then we got on a boat and did a boat trip right into the horseshoe. And
which was like being power washed.
Very wet. Yeah, it was like being jet washed. Did not like because my sleeves got wet, and you know how I feel about my sleeves getting wet.
I do know how you feel about your sleeves getting wet.
Yeah. But I also really liked it and I hated it at the same time. It was awful.
I just liked it. It was good.
It was cool.
Apart from the weird foamy stuff that blew across every now and again and stuck to people.
Oh, it didn't stick to me.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't get a face full of that foam.
No, that would have upset me.
Yeah.
And then we went to Toronto for a couple of days and stayed in my favourite hotel that I've ever stayed in. I've stayed in some really nice hotels.
Nice hotel.
And it was called the Andor House. And it wasn't enormously expensive. It wasn't cheap. It was like $400 for 2 nights, which is about 350 quid, I think. I don't know, the exchange rate is shit at the moment, so who knows. But it was gorgeous, wasn't it? The room was really massive.
Nice. Yeah.
The bed was massive. And it was just like little touches. Like there was a vinyl record player in there, and you know, if you had decent Bluetooth speakers, it would have sounded really good. But it had shit speakers, so and just it was just great.
Yeah, really lovely little room. Good,
really lovely
good
room.
hotel.
Did a lot in Toronto. We went to a comedy night. We found this amazing bar called Stormcrow Manor, which is a nerd bar, and it's just like
tabletop gaming and Game of Thrones themed drinks and things.
And we had like a little booth that we could have shut the door completely if we'd wanted, but we didn't. We wanted to watch the world go by. And our room was hell, so there was like a demon head on the wall and then a bunch of upside down crosses, which was hilarious. And then the stained glass windows was one of Mars Attacks and one of the alien egg from Alien, and the face hugger. And it was just, I loved everything about it. And I got a mocktail that was glowing green and smoking.
It was cool.
It was cool.
Place.
And then we went to the most amazing place. It was a prehistoria museum and a skull store oddity shop. And you were deeply skeptical, weren't you? Because this place has human skeletons on display and loads of shit that is just weird.
Like you can buy things.
You can buy bits of human brain.
Bits of people.
You can. And Joe was like, I don't see how this can possibly be ethical. And you're a little bit like affronted by it. And then we went, and the place is amazing, isn't it?
I mean, it was amazing. It was a really good place to go and have a stroll around and get all the stories out of the really enthusiastic staff who were brilliant. I'm still not entirely sure about the whole ethicalness of buying ex-medical skeletons.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't buy bits of people.
I mean, I'd buy a bit of, what was his, Nathan?
Justin.
You can buy bits of Justin because Justin was still alive and fully consented. There was bits of Justin's skin and toes and stuff that you could have if you wanted. And Justin was fine with that. So that's okay.
He gets a cut of it.
Yeah.
Literally, lol.
Literally, yeah.
So if you want the story of Justin, then write in and let me know, and we'll talk about that next week. But I came home with mosasaur tooth, which is a prehistoric dinosaur shark thing. Several millions of years old, and many, like 65 million years old.
Something like that, yeah.
And also a muskrat skull.
Hi, Misty.
Hi, Misty. So, there's a story behind muskrats as well. Anyway, and then we came home and put the shower tray in, and that was awesome. But now we're talking about... what are we talking about?
I hate my book.
Yeah. So if you are writing a book... and you've ever like got to a point, or you've tried to write a book, or really anything substantial, and you're like, I hate this, then this is the episode for you if you've got that far.
Okay, cool.
Joe, is there anything that you truly hate?
I try quite hard not to truly hate things or people. I try and understand things. There's very little that I just inherently hate. I can't think of any examples of things I hate right now.
Really?
Other people dicking with my schedule. That's kind of got my goat this evening. But
a situation that you hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got my goat as well. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck shit up, and Joe's like, no.
Somebody else has control of my calendar at the moment, and I'm about to wrench it off their hands.
Yeah, take your calendar off them, man. That's like the anyway. That's not what we're talking about. So that was my question. Is there anything you truly hate? And I was thinking, what do I truly hate? And I don't know. There's some sort, like, I hate fascists. I hate misogyny. I hate white supremacy. I hate this Tory government. I hate inequality. I hate animal cruelty.
Give it a couple of months. This Tory government's buggered.
Good. And I hate horseflies.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I don't like to hate people either. Like, I don't think there's any individuals that, because I think you have to Like, it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, you can dislike people. You can.
Yeah, there's people I dislike for sure. But yeah, hate it's a very strong word. And we sling it around a lot without really thinking about it. So like I could say I hate peanut butter, earwigs and experimental jazz, but I don't really hate them because like it takes a lot of energy. So it's like useful to interrogate that sentence. It's like, well, what do I mean? When I say hate, what do I really feel about it? And when I think about it, it's like, I don't like peanut butter because it glues my mouth shut and it sucks all the moisture out and the texture makes me want to claw my own skin off and it makes me feel panicky. And that's the same reason I won't eat toffee, because it sticks my teeth together and it gets smaller and it makes me feel like I'm going to choke and I don't like it. It makes me feel claustrophobic.
Okay.
That's why why are you looking at me like I'm crazy?
I mean, if you're chewing toffee, surely it's the toffee that should feel claustrophobic, not you.
Do you hear my belly then?
I did, your belly.
Because we're talking about food that I don't like. So yeah, I don't hate peanut butter. Like but it freaks me out. I have no problem with other people eating it, although I would prefer it if you didn't try and kiss me after you've just had peanut butter on toast. Because you smell like peanut butter. Earwigs, they creep me the fuck out.
They do. They give you the right heaves, don't they?
Oh man,
A couple of weeks ago, there was an earwig in the bedroom and you just lost your shit.
No, it wasn't in the bedroom. I went to the loo and I felt something on my arm and I looked down and there was an earwig, and instead of losing my shit, I flicked it off and I was like, oh, that was really horrible, but I didn't lose my shit. And Joe was in the shower at this point, in a different room, I hasten to add. Not that, don't judge us, what? And then I felt something else on my leg and I looked down and there was another earwig on my leg.
Was it not the same earwig?
No, it wasn't. Because I saw the first earwig flicked into the corner. There was another earwig on my leg. That was too much for me and I absolutely lost my shit and I screamed, didn't I? I screamed so loudly that I kept screaming as well, that Joe got out the shower, like soaking wet and naked, and came running into the inside-outside room and was like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was just standing there screaming and pulling off all my clothes and be like, you need to help me get undressed because there's earwigs on me. And I made you go through my hair like almost with a knit comb. And I was just like, where did it come from? It turned all my clothes. So yeah, earwigs freak me out. But I don't hate them.
They're just being earwigs.
They're just being earwigs. I don't want to eradicate them from the planet. And apparently they make very caring parents for insects. I don't, whatever. But I just want them gone from my immediate vicinity, right? Experimental jazz, not my thing, gives me a headache, but I don't actually hate it. I think it's actually a really good idea because it gives rise to all kinds of other music and ideas and it's creative. I just don't want to listen to it.
It's not really a spectator sport, I don't think, is it?
I don't think it is. No, it's like musical masturbation. I'm going to get letters. But my brain doesn't do well when it's playing. Mm-hmm. It stresses me out. So horseflies, though, I would wipe them off the face of the planet. I hate them.
If anybody would like to tell us what would happen if we wiped horseflies off the face
I've
of the
Googled
planet.
it.
If we could just do without them.
Yeah.
They have no constructive use in the ecosystem.
I may be lying. I may not have Googled extensively. I may have Googled to confirm my bias. Mm-hmm. But they literally have no plus points. They're awful. So anyway, all of this is to say that when somebody says they hate their book, my question is always, well, what do you mean by hate? Like, what are you actually feeling about it? What specifically is the problem? Which parts of it do you hate? And what are you feeling like in your body when you think about your book and that makes you want to hate it? And so for me, when I say I hate my book or I hate my writing, I don't mean that literally. Usually I mean something like it's really hard, and like not the writing of it, because writing a book is hard and you should expect it to be, and anybody who tells you differently is either lying or misremembering. But like looking at your writing in progress is really hard because
it's not as good as you want it to be.
Yeah, because it's painful, because although the idea is beautiful, like that first draft is often a pile of shit. It's the shitty first draft. It's supposed to be shit, and that's okay. But looking at it can be really horrible and painful, and it's not an easy part of writing the book. And so if you're writing a book and feeling all of the feelings about it, I want you to stop right now and kind of let me ask you, what do you mean by I hate my book? Because almost certainly, not always, but almost certainly is you don't hate the book, and it's really useful to dig in and find out, well, what am I feeling and why?
I'm hating the process of writing it, or I'm hating how it doesn't come out the way I think it should, or I'm hating my writing style, or I'm hating that it's not going to plan, or there's all kinds of things that you could be hating, but it's probably not
the book.
the entirety of the thing.
Yeah, and just kind of going, I hate my book is really unhelpful. It's okay to kind of say it and like, I hate my book, rah, 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 but then interrogate it and find out why. Because once you figure out what it is that you're feeling your feelings about, that's something that you can work on. You can pick on it and you can go, right, it's this thing that I'm really upset about. Let's figure it out. And so, I like to turn it into then, what are you feeling resistance to? Because then you can pin down that problem and you can, but if you're like, if you go from I hate my book to I can't pin down my idea and seem to keep wandering off course, that's a much more specific problem and it's highly solvable. But if you're just like, I hate my book, you can't do much with that.
It's a bit of a dead end, isn't it? There's no progress there.
It's one of those thought terminating thoughts. It's just like there's no way you can go from there. And by the way, you should look out for thought terminating cliches when you're having conversations with people as well. And I was just reading a really good article today by Amy Keane on LinkedIn, and she'd written about tone policing and how it's designed to shut down conversation. It's like, oh, I don't like your tone, rather than attacking the argument. It's a real shutdown of the argument, and it's like it just terminates everything. There's no way you can go from there. So it's like when you're dealing with I'm going to use men and sexism because it's something I'm very familiar with. It's like, oh, it was only a joke, have a sense of humor. There's literally nowhere that you can go from there because there's just no point in having that argument because there's just no point.
Yeah, they just basically cross their fingers and bags eat themselves, aren't they?
It's toddler behavior, and it's the same, and that's the same kind of it's a similar kind of problem. It's like, oh, I hate this book. It's like, absolutely, be a toddler about it for 5 minutes. I'm a toddler about shit literally every day, often, but you can't stop there. You have to kind of dig into it and figure out what's going on. So yeah, dig into the question and dig into the feelings and be like, what do I hate about it? And actually, do I hate it, or am I struggling with something? What is it that's...
Is it idea, writing, process, scheduling, whatever?
Yeah, because as soon as you start doing that, it starts feeling like a problem that you can solve instead of just this mountain of bullshit that you can't do anything about.
I don't like it anymore. Yeah.
And, I'm not saying don't feel that. That's you're feeling... All feelings are valid, but don't just stop there. And I would also say to people, and I said this to a client of mine yesterday, actually, and her face was really funny. But I also say to people, what would it feel like? Like, so if you say to me, I hate my book.
I hate my book.
Okay. What would it feel like, Joe, if I said, you don't have to write this book?
What was their answer?
Her face just got like, I don't know. She looked absolutely horrified and angry, and was like, oh, I have to fucking write this book.
It's like, okay,
cool, yeah. And so, one of two things is going to happen: either that happened with my client yesterday, or actually, the person is going to realize that actually I really don't want to write this book, and that's okay, because this is another thing. Like we feel like once we start something, we have to finish it at all costs.
Oh, we're a failure if we don't finish it.
Yeah, and the sunk cost fallacy as well. I've put all this time into it already, therefore I have to... Well, your time's gone. Why waste more time on it if you don't want to? So if you don't have to write your book unless you are under contract to a publisher. And even then there are ways to...
Just give them the money back and move on.
Or, change what you want to write, because a publisher's not going to want a book that you hate writing because it's going to be not a good book. So yeah, there are ways to get around it. But like, if you really don't want to write the book, you don't have to. And sometimes we forget that and we need someone to remind us it's okay to change our minds. We haven't failed anyone.
You are an adult and you are allowed to make decisions.
We haven't even failed ourselves. And, it might be, I don't want to write this book, but actually I want to write this one instead.
Yeah.
And that's fine as well. And I've had clients change, partway through coaching programs, like, actually, I don't want to write this book. And I'm like, great. What do you want to write? And we've figured out the one that they do want to write, and then they've made really fast progress on it.
And I guess sometimes what's required is a bunch of thinking and a bunch of effort to determine, this isn't the thing I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like you say, it's a valid decision.
And it's never a waste of time either, because all that work that you've put into it already.
It's content, it's blog posts, it's learning, it's knowledge, it's skills, it's all kinds of things.
Exactly. So yes. That question that, what would it feel like if I said you don't have to write this book? That can remind us why we started writing it in the first place, or it can give us real clarity on the reality that we don't want to write it at all and give you permission to actually write this one instead, or not a book at all right now. And that's okay as well, because it's really okay to walk away from a book But you have to really properly walk away from it, because leaving a book unfinished that you want to write, but you never truly walk away from it, it's a special kind of torture, because it will never leave you alone. And so if you're going to walk away from a book, like properly walk away from it, like draw a line under it and be like, I'm done with that.
I have made a decision. We're done.
Yeah. And by the way, this is all part of what a book coach does. Like, this is a little mini book coaching session for anybody who is stuck or, feeling like they hate their book. This is what we do. We listen, we read, we watch, and we ask questions to help you. Like, we don't give you the answers. That's not what a book coach is for. We'll make suggestions, but the idea is that we ask you the awkward questions that you're not probably asking yourself, and make you think your way through it, because ultimately you've already got the answers. It just requires a little bit of prodding, a little bit of pushing. And we'll look at what you've got and make suggestions and all the rest of it.
Possibly some structures and some ways of organising your thoughts and all kinds of different things.
Totally, yeah. But ultimately, I want to empower people to make their own decisions about their books and be able to answer their own questions, because that is far more valuable than me just going, oh, you should do this, this, and this. Because I could do that till the cows came home, but then it'd be my book, not yours. And that's not what I want to do. So we ask questions to help you figure out where you're stuck and why and how to get going again, or give you permission to walk away if that's what you want to do. And we also give people space to say the unsayable stuff, like, I hate my book and I want to quit, because that stuff's really hard to admit out loud, especially in this world of like perfect Instagram people, where it's like, here is my perfect life, because we only ever see that perfect part, and we don't see people on their bad days. Because like nobody wants to see you at your worst. Nobody wants to be seen at their worst, do they? And so but when I work with people, I'm like, this is a place you can come and say that stuff, because I know it all, because I've said it myself.
Yeah, been there, done that.
And I will never judge you for it. And so you can come and say that stuff and get it out of your system, and then it's like, right, let's figure this out.
Figure it out, sort out a plan, move forward, don't, whatever. But do it consciously.
Yeah. And if you work with the right book coach, they will help you do that. They will help you write with more clarity and fire. They will learn how you work best without trying to push you into a square hole if you're a round peg. Be really careful about that. Ask book coaches what kind of clients they've worked with. If you've got a neurodiversity, is the book coach you're thinking of working with, have they worked with people like that before? Because if they haven't, they might well struggle to help you, because they're going to have all of the normal tools in their box, but they're not going to understand how to, the normal tools often don't work for us. So just ask those questions. If you're a person of color or a person from the LGBTQ community, check, is the person that I want to work with, are they going to understand my voice and what I'm trying to do? Are they going to be able to help me go in my own direction? Or are they going to, unconsciously, usually, with the best intentions, force you in a direction that you don't want to go in? So ask the questions, make sure that the person that you want to work with is going to be the person who is going to help you write your best book.
Yeah.
That's really important. And if you can find the right book coach, it'll be worth far more than the financial investment, because you'll get so much more out of it than just the book. That's just a start. But here is an idea that you can embrace for free right now, as well as the free coaching that you've had in this episode. Just be more intentional about your writing, and that will help to head off a lot of problems before they start. So figure out why you're writing the book for yourself and for your reader. So why are you writing it, who you're writing it for, how can your book help them, work out where your book fits into the world and into your world and into your business, if you're writing it for your business, and how you can get it in front of the right people as well. And I'm never going to sit and say, because I was talking to another client today, I'm never going to sit and say, oh, where do you see your book and your business in 10 years time? Because I can't, I've had that before with coaches, and they've been like, oh, what is your 6-month plan and your 12-month plan and your 3-year plan? I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing next fucking week, let alone in 3 years. And that question really stresses me out. We don't have to see the long term. We don't have to. Some people do. That's great. I'm not one of them. And so if you're not one of them, it's like you don't have to have that long-term thing figured out, but you do have to write intentionally and think about, what are you doing this for now and in the near future?
Yeah.
It's really important. And you also should understand, really understand, that writing a book is hard. It takes a long time, and on occasion it can feel like dragging yourself through hot lava. And even, for those of us who write every single day, it can feel just horrible at times, but that's okay. Because doing hard things is really cool.
Doing hard things is good.
And there is no need or sense to struggle on alone and desperate. You can figure this all out for yourself, but have you really got time for that, is my question. Have you got time to do that? Sometimes you need someone on the outside because it's really tough to read. I've made a horrible cliche. It's really tough to read the label from inside the bottle. I know, right? But it is a good metaphor for, I have to think of a better. It's difficult to see what the weather is like from inside the bear. Just to go back to the bears. Back to the bears.
It's difficult to paint a dinosaur from the inside. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I like that. Although I don't. Why would you paint a dinosaur?
Why would you be inside one?
Well, you've been at. But that wouldn't happen because people and dinosaurs did not cross over.
No.
By several million years.
True.
So yeah, the Flintstones was bullshit.
Yes, it was. It was a cartoon. It was not true. Well done for realising that.
But when I was a kid, though, I always used to be like, it would have been really cool to have had a pet dinosaur. And it wasn't until I was quite some years old that I realised that dinosaurs and people did not cross over.
No.
It's disappointing.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm actually a very smart person.
Yes, you are.
Just not in every way. Nobody can be great at everything. But book coaching, I can help you with that. So yeah, if you don't have time to figure all of this out for yourself, then maybe I can help you. And I have a couple of things going on at the moment. I've got my book breakthrough jams, which are designed to get you started. So if you're right at the beginning and you're like, I want to write my book, I don't know how to start, the book breakthrough jam is the perfect thing to do. I will get you started. We will get your book outlined, your reader journey done, and send you away with a plan so that when you sit down to write, you'll know exactly what you're doing.
Cool.
Get your first draft done easily. Well, say easily, more easily. Or I've got a new thing, a new exciting service that I have just started outlining today, VIP days for people who have started writing their book. Maybe they've got, a good way through their first draft and then they've just stalled.
So if you've got a half-written manuscript in the bottom drawer somewhere.
Yeah. And you're like, I just can't. And I know that feeling because I currently have at least 5 half-written manuscripts that I keep going back to. But yeah, I speak to a lot of people, a lot of clients who have got a good chunk of the way through their book and then they've just ground to a halt. And there are a number of reasons why that might happen. But a VIP day will fix that. We'll figure out what's going on. We'll figure out what the block is. We'll look at the structure. We'll look at the idea. We'll make sure your reader journey is sorted. I will send you away to do some work on your part of things while I do some work on the structure of your book so that we can come back together, put it all together, do another strategy session, and then a live working session where you basically spend a bunch of time online doing the actual writing, maybe getting the last chapter written or the first chapter written, so that by the time that day is over, you not only are feeling great about starting on your book again, but you've actually got a chunk of work done during that day. I'm really excited about these because I think they're going to be very cool for people who are just super fed up about the fact that they've got this book.
They need an injection of enthusiasm and direction.
Yeah, and actual work done in a day. And it's like, you don't have to commit to, because I know that a lot of people at the moment are like, I don't want to commit to long-term stuff, which I totally get because the world's super uncertain at the moment. But in a day, we could get a whole bunch of stuff done. We could get the book, back on track and a bunch of writing done and a plan for ongoing and a plan for what to do when you've finished the book, because I know that trips a lot of people up. They're like,
there's this big thing I don't know how to do coming up.
Yeah, finishing the book is just the start. So there's all this other stuff. So I will, you'll go away again with a plan for that as well. So you'll never be like, I don't know what I'm doing. So if that's something that you feel like, I'm halfway through a book and I've just not touched it for 3 months or whatever, get in touch. We'll book you in on VIP day and we'll get you moving. It'll be fantastic. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be really cool.
Nice.
Anyway, Joe, what's the takeaway?
I
only, by the way, I'm only going to offer 2 VIP days a month.
Okay.
So if you want to do this before Christmas, get cracking. Email me, Vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk. Don't have a sales page for it yet.
Takeaway. Be more intentional and specific about your writing.
Yes. Beautifully read.
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah, do be more intentional and specific about your writing.
Yeah, you read that well nice as well.
Thanks. Yeah. Because I think once we start on our books, we can get a bit jaded by them, we get tired, and we can just be not going through the motions, but we're like writing because we're writing, but we forget.
And yeah, the decisions you made a year ago are not necessarily how you feel. You know, you might not be in that headspace now. You know, things change. Time changes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Right. Coming up next week, writing advice from my favourite author ever, Terry Pratchett. Yeah, we're going to go through some of my favourite writing advice from Terry Pratchett. So, yay. But in the meantime, if you would like to book a VIP day with me, you can contact me, Vicky at moxiebooks.co.uk, or you can contact me on LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever suits you. It's cool. If you want to book Breakthrough Jam, if you're thinking of starting your book and you want to get started, get it kicked off, get off to a flying start, you can go to moxiebooks.co.uk/book breakthrough. And if you've listened to every episode, you can email me with your postal address and I will send you a special superfan gift by the post.
Excellent. Yes. Recommend your friends, write reviews, subscribe, 5 stars,
please
all
subscribe.
That good stuff.
Please subscribe and please leave us a review. In fact, I would really appreciate this because if you listen to this podcast, because sometimes we wonder if it's just like 3 people and...
Hi, Vegard.
Don't know if he still listens. Yinka does though. Hi, Yinka.
Hi, Yinka.
I sometimes wonder if it's just Yinka. But if you listen, we would so appreciate it if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts from. Yeah. It would be really lovely. And you know, in the review, tell us what you like about the podcast. Tell us what we're not doing that you might like to see. And if you don't like it, keep it to yourself and just email me privately.
Other podcasts are available.
Other podcasts are available. Seriously though, if there's stuff that you don't like, email me and tell me. Because I might not act on it, but I want to know. Because it is, after all, my podcast. But yeah, share it. moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast. Send it to your friends. Thank you, Joe.
No worries.
Thank you very much to Podfly for your endless patience with my shenanigans in missing deadlines and things. Thank you. I haven't missed a deadline this week. And thank you to Harriet for always keeping me on track and dealing with all of the behind the scenes stuff. And thank you to you, dear listener, without whom there would be no point in doing this.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening. Check out the show notes at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast for links to everything we've mentioned in this episode. Remember to subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you'd like to hear more from Notes in the Margin, you can sign up to get regular emails from Vicky into your inbox at moxiebooks.co.uk/notes in the margin. We'll be back same time next week.